Hello, here is Christian from Germany. Today I will show you a secret weapon against the Sicilian Najdorf. The reason for my video is I'm an e4 player and I always search for aggressive and funny openings. And when I search for an opening against the Sicilian Najdorf, I can't find a good one in the internet. Only easy tricks or standard stuff. So I started creating my own system in the English attack. And now you will see that. It all starts with the moves e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, open Sicilian, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6 attacking the e4 pawn, knight to c3 defending, and a6. This is the main position of the Najdorf variation. So Najdorf is one of the strongest openings in chess against the e4 move, and so very much strong players and grandmasters are playing that system. And that's the reason why I want prepared for them. And my system starts with the move bishop to e3. Looks not very special because you can think, oh, I can attack this bishop. But no matter, it can easily retreat to c1 square. And for example, he plays knight to c6, I play h3. He has to retreat the knight. And now I can play again bishop to e3 and follow my plan. So, don't afraid of this knight move. And the main move in this position is e5. That's the best move for black in this position and the most played move here. So in my system, the knight has to retreat to the b3 square, and black follows with the move bishop to e6. That is the most played and most common move in this position. And now comes the main move in my system, and that is h3. This move not only blocks the g4 square for the knight and for the bishop to get some counterplay, it also prepares you for a kingside attack to running with the g-pawn. Yes. Okay. The game continues with the move bishop to e7. And now remember, if the bishop is on e6 here, you can immediately play the move f4. And if you look now at the online database, you can see that the winning chances are by 63% for white. So you can see how dangerous this is. Now you have a threat of f5 and running very quickly on the king side and crushing your opponent. So he can't ignore this, he has to forcefully capture this pawn and we take it back. Black is going to castle on the king side, and now we play the very important move queen to e2. Remember this move. It looks a little bit strange because this bishop is blocked, but in this system, the white square bishop has a passive part of the game. So don't be afraid of them. For example, black plays a move like queen c7. We are castling on the queen side, that's our plan. Now, knight from b to d7. And we simply running for our kingside attack with g4. And now as a threat, black can try immediately play b5, but we are much faster with this attack. So he has to first develop his pieces, for example knight to c5. And now in my system, very important, don't give up these two knights. They have to come into the to the d4 square and the d5 square into the middle of the board, and then you will have a very aggressive game. So if he plays that move, I play knight to d4, of course, yes. And now black is running for a queenside attack with b5, and we're attacking also very easily. He has to retreat the knight, and now we can jump into the middle of the board with our second knight. That's very good, because these two knights are very bad defenders here. So they have to jump into the middle of the board. Now this knight is attacking the queen and the bishop with check, so it's very aggressive here, and he has to forcefully capture this knight with the bishop, and I take it back with the pawn. And now black has two choices. He can play a rook to e8, and that is what we are doing. For example, this rook, and the threat is bishop takes on g5, and the queen is hanging. So whenever a rook comes into the queen on this line, here, you have to retreat the queen to the g2 square, because the queen has to stay on the second rank in this system, and is defending these pawns here on the queen side, and also it is for an attack on the king side. So this is a perfect square for the queen in my system. So what is black doing now? He's playing some moves like going for an attack with, or develop his pieces with knight to e5, and not taking, running for your attack very easily. Black tries to get a counter attack on the queen side, and we simply run for an attack. He's running too for an attack. And now if we have this square, you can remember that the bishop came in and is attacking this rook here. The rook has to go to another square, perhaps b8, and now we can go to crush the king side with the move g6. You will think, oh, 3 times he is on this point, but no matter, we only want to open the h file and get a checkmate. So he wants to take with the rook and get this rook into the game. And yet now it is important not to take back. First we have to take this knight, the defender of this pawn. He takes it back and is attacking my knight. But I don't have to run out with this knight. I can go for a stronger attack, and this is d6. Attacking queen and bishop, and he forcefully has to take with the bishop. And now, if you look at the position, this line is now open, and that will be a big problem for black. I will show you that. The bishop gives the check to the king. King goes into the h file, h8, and now he can simply take this pawn, and he can't take back because there's the rook. So he goes for h6. And now I give you 5 seconds to find the winning blow now. So I hope you find this move, and this is queen to g5, and now black is lost. He can't do anything. For example, he can take the knight, but there is a forced checkmate, because rook takes h6, pawn takes h6, and then the queen takes, check, queen goes here, and checkmate. So at this position, it is already lost. Now I will show you another game. What will happen if black plays knight to c6? And that's the nice thing and this system, it's the same story. So we're castling on the queen side. Perhaps queen goes to c7, and also we're starting our kingside attack. And what is black doing? He's starting his queenside attack, and do you remember, first kicking the knight back from this f6 square, and then jump into the middle of the board with your knights. That's more or less same story. So he has to take it. I take it back, and the knight goes to the best square, that is the e5 square. And we are following our kingside attack. And you can see it's very easy to go for this plan. Yes, this pawn is protected by the bishop, and you can easily run away here into his king. Very easy to play, so I like that. How could the game consider? He can play aggressive against your queen side. And now, do you remember, the second knight also jumps into the middle of the board. That is a good square for them. So, and what is black doing? He has to attack. Yes, of course he has to attack. And then you have to not running here, because if the pawns here are very near to your king, you have to make a safety move, and that is king to b1. It is a move which is very often played if you're castle on the queen side, and that is always good, this move then. So we're stabilizing our queen side, and he's going for the attack. And then that is a very cute trap now. You can play this move, knight to c6, and now you will think, okay, that is not good, because he is 1 and 2 times on the knight, and 1 time only protected by the pawn. But you will see what happened. I will show you that. If he takes, the pawn takes, and the queen takes, and now here comes the winning move, bishop to g2, facing the queen and the rook. So he should not play this. He should not take the knight. So knight goes into this good square and is attacking this bishop. If you see this, he plays the rook to the e8 square and is protecting. And now there is the rook is on the e line, on the e file, facing the queen. And if you see this, what is the right square? Yes, the queen has to go to g2 and defending on the second rank and attacking on the g file. So what is black doing? He has to attack, of course, and plays the aggressive b3. And now we play this little a3 and let him take this pawn with check. And then we take back with the queen. So, very good. And now, what is the threat? The threat is knight takes the bishop with check and winning the queen. Another threat in the system. So, black has to forcefully play this knight here and block this threat here. So now we are running with our kingside attack with h5, and black is placing the bishop on this f8 square. That's very often a good square to defend on the king side also. So, but we're attacking. We want to open the h file, and then we play g6. Again, that's more or less the same story like the game before. So he takes with the f pawn, and we take first the knight. That's important because it is a good defender for black here. He takes it back, and now we takes this pawn, and again this position here. Black is only defending, and now we play this dangerous move, bishop to c4, and are threatening again to take the queen. You can see there are so much threats in this variation. The best move is the bishop here. Then we can play the rook on the open file, and then the queen will go to d square. That is also the best move. And your queen are going here on e2. So now there is one right move for the black he can do, and he will lose a pawn, but that will be the best option for black now. So for example, he plays the king to h8 and he wants to go out from an attack. That will be deathly, because you have this wonderful rook move and facing the queen. And if the queen retreats to another square and play very passive, like this one, then you can shock him with this winning move, queen to e3, and you can sacrifice the rook and then take with the queen and go for a checkmate on the square. And he can't do anything now. He can play, for example, the rook on this square, perhaps, but it's too late because I can take, he takes back, I take with the check, and here's a forced checkmate. And that's another threat. And so I like these positions very much. There are so much threats. The only right move on this position will be the rook here, but then he will losing this pawn, and you have an extra pawn in the endgame. So I hope you liked this video, and you have found a new system against the Sicilian Najdorf, and I wish you good luck with your chess. Bye bye.